According to Shams Charania, the Boston Celtics are expected to be active in the trade market. Shams said on FanDuelTV, Charania expects Boston to be looking to upgrade their bench ahead of the February 8th trade deadline. The Celtics still have control over most of their future first-round picks, but are limited in the ability to match salary and trade. Most of Boston's higher salary players are key rotational players. However, Boston does have a $6.2 million trade exception that Brad Stevens could offer to make a low salary acquisition. The Celtics could also combine the salaries of several minimum salary players to make a deal. And we've heard this before. For me, they need a scorer off the bench, okay? Either a scorer or a center off the bench. So if we look at the guys that they could trade, I think a Sam Hauser is probably the best contract that they could move because he has a skill set that's replaceable, just shooting, just being a tall body who can shoot. Svi Mikhailuk could easily replace him. So right there, with that being said, Peyton Pritchard makes $4 million this year, and they have a $6.2 million trade exception. So that's $10.2 million in salary that they could potentially trade. Sam Hauser makes 1.9. So that's really only about $8 million, 8.1 that they could trade. So those are the two salaries that I would look at. So now if we're looking at potential, guys that could be traded for when you're looking at just, NBA trade candidates, somebody making between $8 and $10 million. I don't think a TJ McConnell will be the answer, or because we heard that they met with Blake Griffin and Mr. TJ Warren. So they could go out and get a guy like Royce O'Neal if they wanted, but I don't think Royce O'Neal is moving the needle for them. They could wait to the buyout market. Or I think that's where, for me, I think they're more looking for maybe a Monte Morris or a Kelly Hayes. Kelly Hayes, yeah, it's a 1-year deal, but you get the restricted free agency ability with him, and you could re-sign him to a long-term deal. There's also Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. I just don't think those are the guys that they go out. Jacques Landale could be a guy who's making $8 million that they could go out and get. Jayshawn Tate, maybe. I think, again, TJ McConnell's making 8.7. And I think he's a guy that people are a fan of, but the problem is he's really just going to help you at passing and rebounding. Bones Highland and Amir Coffey, those two combined is about 6.2. Bones Highland would give you a score, and Amir Coffey would give you a shooter who can play some defense. So that's definitely a guy. Now, John Conchar and maybe one of the other guys off the bench there could help the Celtics. I don't think the Heat would have anybody. I don't think Pat Connaughton's moving the needle, nor is Kyle Lewis Jr. I don't think those guys would move. Vasilija Micic is a guy who Micic has drawn interest from teams. He's a scorer. He's a ball handler. Micic he would just hurt your defense. That's the one thing. A combination of KJ Martin and Furkan Korkmaz, and maybe if you could get Mo Bamba somehow for, a combination of I guess it would have to be Peyton Pritchard and the 6.2, and maybe you have to do some minimum salaries there. Davion Mitchell will give you the defense. Maybe a Davion Mitchell and Alex Lynn deal could be something. Then he could call up the Spurs. Jetty Osman could be a guy, or even Otto Porter and Thad Young, or Otto Porter and Precious Achua could be put together. There are deals out there for players that definitely, I don't know if they'll move the needle, but they're definitely players that could help out the Boston Celtics if they were looking for somebody. So let me hear your guys' thoughts down below. But yeah, I definitely think we're in a position where Boston could make a move. I think that what they need to do is they need a better backup center besides Luke Cornett. I think Nemus is the guy, but if they don't believe that, maybe go out and get another big. And then likewise, I think they need a scorer off the bench. It's just, who's that guy going to be? Can they find him? Okay. And that's it.